Hi, I'm James Jenkins, and this is What's Your Story Vancouver, and you're with...
I'm Cara Gee, and I'm here at the Whistler Film Festival with the film Red Rover and Trouble in the Garden.
Two films, that's crazy. So when did you have time to shoot two films?
Do you know what? They actually shot about a year apart.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
Lots of time then.
all kinds of time.
Yeah.
I'm rolling in time. No, it was funny. Yeah, it was actually funny because I shoot a TV show called The Expanse that we're actually in the middle of shooting season 4 right now. It'll be on Amazon Prime. And the first film I shot during season 2. And then the second film I shot during shooting season 3 of The Expanse. So I kind of have these like interesting little...
You're busy, basically.
Yeah, little pockets of time.
Yeah.
It was just really lucky scheduling because there's a few episodes that I'm not in and I was able to shoot the films during those times.
Well, it's very lucky then.
It's really cool, yeah.
Yeah. Can you give maybe a little synopsis of both films?
Sure. Trouble in the Garden is a family drama about a woman who she's a Native woman who was stolen from her Indigenous family and raised by a white family. In Canada, we call that the 60s scoop, although it wasn't just limited to the 60s.
Yeah.
It's in fact ongoing to this day. Native children being violently seized from their families and adopted by white families as a way to assimilate us into the population. It's a part of Canada's genocidal.
There's a really good documentary on that actually that came out a few years ago, and it was talking about like how they took them and then put them in the schools and then cut their hair off and then...
That's residential school. That's a different thing, but they're related.
Yeah.
So as the residential school system was sort of petering out, the scoop began as sort of a continuation of that violent assimilation.
I don't understand how anyone can give away their baby like that.
My mother didn't give me away. I was taken.
We thought that we were giving you a chance at something better. We did the best we could.
You didn't think to tell me your brother's selling houses on the land we're protesting?
I didn't know.
But the developer bought that land from the government.
Oh, from the government? Well, then it must be okay. It's stolen land.
You leave this house, they'll throw you right back in jail.
All this is treason. I can stay any goddamn place I want.
You won't be happy until you ruin this family.
I have never been a part of this family.
My name is Raven.
Yeah, like if you take people from if you cut them off from their culture, then you can steal their shit.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
One way to do it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a very effective way, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very effective way, and that's a part of our shared history, and I think a part of our Canadian identity. So, and of course, moving forward with whatever reconciliation means to us.
So, is that what drew you to the script then, like to the project?
Like just raising awareness of that. There's so many people who don't know about it, whereas it's something that I grew up knowing about. You know that Native babies can be taken, and that is something to be feared. For me and my family, that was something that we were, acutely aware of as a very real threat to our family's survival. And so, yeah, as I've grown up and lived in Toronto and learning that other people didn't know about that experience, of course, it's important to me to share that and talk about that, and it's ongoing to this day. I think a lot of people don't realize.
That I did not realize.
Yeah, like there's this woman, she's actually become quite famous on Twitter for sharing her ongoing struggles, TAMARA Malcolm, and she had her children returned to her after an 11-year battle.
Wow.
And she was escaping domestic violence and had her children taken from her. So of course that's another part of silencing us. How can you go to the police and talk about domestic violence if you're scared that they'll take your kids? That's one way to keep us in a corner. Yeah.
Besides this film to create awareness, is there anything else people can go and check out, like a website or like a link or something that people can like find out about this?
I'm not sure if there's sort of a centralized, certainly looking at the Truth and Reconciliation, looking into that.
Yeah.
There's information about that on you know, the government websites. But also, I find that following Indigenous activists on Twitter is actually a really great source of information that's coming directly from people. So, you know, you can just sort of look at hashtag Native Twitter and find, you know, look at who's saying what and what resonates with you, and sort of, you know, start to listen, and you'll find those people if you're interested in learning more.
Okay.
Jesse Wente gave a really inspiring keynote speech here at the festival. He is leading the Indigenous Screen Office.
Okay.
And they're actually looking at reviewing the Broadcast Act, which is something that's going to be ongoing until this January 2019. And what that will hopefully help us achieve is, right now it's divided into English and French, but he is advocating for, and I certainly support this, looking at including Métis, Inuit, and First Nations in that you know, category, so that we can, hopefully policy will follow where our artists are supported, and we can be looking at Indigenous filmmakers to tell Indigenous stories. Which actually leads me to Red Rover, which is the other film I have in the festival. It's directed by Shane Belcourt.
That's a good little segue right there.
Yeah, that's sort of how, I didn't plan that. But he's Métis, and I'm Ojibwe. I star in the film, and it's a romantic comedy. And I'm so proud to be here with that film, because I think that it has an Indigenous perspective that's baked right into it. It's about a guy who's going to Mars. There's lots of talk about what that means and colonizing Mars and sort of those themes that run throughout it. But it's a romantic comedy. I play a woman who's handing out flyers to this Red Rover program.
To recruit people?
Yeah, to recruit people to this contest. And Christian Brune plays a guy who's lost his job. He's living in his ex-wife's basement, and he's considering, you know, going to Mars. And then, you know, hijinks ensue, and there might be some romance, and it's really joyful and bright and soulful, and I think that is important as well, to look at how can we as Indigenous storytellers also fall in love.
I hope that Red Rover is about being truly new, because that would be something. Our best human foot forward. Did you know in Red Rover, I never once got called over?
How long have you been acting for?
I started in theater. And I worked in Toronto in theater, which was amazing. I did that for maybe 5 years until my first film that I did was called Empire of Dirt, and it played Tiff. Jennifer Podemsky is one of the producers. She is an inspiring and courageous human. She has a television show on APTN right now called Future History. That would actually be a great show to watch, to be learning about sort of some Indigenous history issues, looking at each episode sort of tackles a different subject, and also looks at how we're moving forward, how we're reclaiming knowledge. And it's so good. So check that out, Future History on APTN.
And we'll do that. We'll put the links down below.
Yeah, so that was my first film, and that screened at TIFF in 2013.
Nice. And you're a star to watch here in Win Whistler. What does that mean to you?
I'm really happy to be here. It means I get to come and blah, blah, blah about these movies and these things that I'm passionate about, and I really appreciate having that platform. It's a responsibility that I don't take lightly. I think it's important, you know, to raise awareness and talk about these things. I'm at a really beautiful, lucky place, joyful place in my career right now. I just shot my first great big American feature film. It was Call of the Wild. It's going to come out on Christmas Day next year. Yeah, it was a big Disney Fox.
Christmas Day is actually one of the busiest theater movie days.
It's going to be a huge movie.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford's
congratulations. Wow. He's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm in it. So I feel like that's going to be, when that comes out, that's going to be a whole new ball game, you know? And
exactly.
I'm excited to infiltrate that American market, you know?
Right.
Let them know what's up.
Well, we'll finish. Can you give one piece of advice to upcoming actor, female actor, or filmmaker, or anybody in the business that's kind of starting off?
Sure. The first and most important thing is to know your words inside and out. It seems so basic, but you have to know them like you could get hit by a truck and keep saying those words. And that is the first step, really, and you cannot skip over that. It's the most like boring part of the job. You have to just sit in alone, studying your lines, know them, no excuses, know them. And I think, secondly, don't let anyone else define you.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and I'm sorry to rush you out, but
no, it's good.
We'll
Thanks.
See you
Thank you for the chance.
We look
to talk.
forward to seeing more of you on the big screen and on Christmas Day.